You're watching Experience Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
Hi, everybody. It's Miss Jen, and this is Talkin Shop, your favorite show to find out what is going on in comicdom so you can add those awesome books to your polls at your local comic shop. Stay tuned. We've got some really killer guests this hour. See you in a sec. Everybody, it is time to have the very interactive interview show we call Talkin Shop. We have fun with this every single week. Please do remember to give thumbs up and hearts so that everybody that's on knows that you're liking what we're doing, so we can keep on going, and share with your friends, man. How else are they going to know what's going on? Like, here's Cool Gamer. Cool Gamer comes every single time, the most regular person on our show. We love you, Cool Gamer. Thank you. And also know that this is a fully interactive show. So do ask your questions. I will get to them in the time that we have. Don't worry, as long as the question isn't something ridiculous like, do you have horses? Because that doesn't make any sense. We're talking about comics today. All right, let's first talk to our awesome guests. We've got Scott Berman and Eric Wynn.
Hello.
Did you guys coordinate your backgrounds to be all white today?
In honor of white savior of the comic, yes, our backgrounds are all white.
Yeah. Well, Scott,
that's awesome. How's everybody doing?
Good. How you doing?
Good.
Doing great. So I just found out before we went live that Scott's a fellow Texan. Eric, where do you hail from?
I am in California, North California.
Oh no! Are you guys doing okay? Are you having the big effects?
We're doing great. I mean, it's really just the coastal areas that's been hit and have all sorts of problems with the so-called cyclone. But I'm actually glad that we're having this rain because of all these years of drought. Mm-hmm. We definitely needed it. And so with it raining and having all the water and snow, it's good for us. We definitely need it.
I think that it's interesting that like California is kind of like Florida. Florida's got two seasons. It's fire season and flood season, and you guys have got two seasons: drought season and mudslide season.
Yeah.
It's like, man, can't they just have like normal? I guess most of the time you guys have got the best, weather on the planet, which is like,
we do. It's just. I hear everyone complaining about the rain and stuff, but man, it's definitely, I'm enjoying it. Plus I live in, North Cal, center, I guess. And so we're not really, maybe I don't feel the effect. I just see a little bit of the, American River going down, but other than that, it's been, down the line, like I said, we definitely need it. There's always every year, month before the month starts, drought, water shortage, reserve your water, all that. Next thing you know, we'll be charged for even more so, so I'd rather have the rain than being charged. It already costs a bundle to live here.
Oh yeah. I saw some articles recently where they were like, well, we need to try to figure out a way to capture runoff so that there are times when they have rain, they can like throw it into the reservoir. Oof. Right now, it just kind of like flows out to the sea.
Yeah. I mean, the history of California's water capturing has been, they know it, they just don't want to do it. They rather spend the money on bullet trains.
Bullet trains, yes. Well, we kind of need that too.
I think my friend Eric might have frozen on us, peeps. But it is a great shot that he froze on, where he's giving a good smile there.
It's so funny. We actually we have a news show that we shoot called Nerd News Now, and we actually play this game at the very end of our show all the time that we all pretend like we're frozen. So I just thought maybe he's in on that joke.
I don't know about that.
Okay, so I saw a post, Scott, on your I can't remember if I was on your Twitter or where I was, but It was kind of thinking back on your 8-year-old self. And
yes, you did your research on me. Very good. Yes.
I did. I have to know everything about the further adventures of Cleany, Dirty, and Shiny.
Yes, when I was a 8-year-old kid with a much better hairline and and metabolism, I wrote a letter to Marvel Comics saying that I wanted to draw and write comics for them as an 8-year-old, and yeah, and actually they sent a letter back, whatever letter they kind of send to all the kids, and so I still have it somewhere in my mom's apartment. But yeah, I would draw comics every day. The drawing that I do at 40 years old looks very similar to the drawing that I did as an 8-year-old. But yeah, so it's been really cool because this is my first published comic, and so yeah, it's exciting to hear. And we got Eric back again. I was just telling you how terrible you are while you were gone.
No, that was not. We're talking about making creative efforts when you're really young, kind of like knowing what path that you want and kind of trying to make it happen, even though, I mean, like as a young person, you don't know any better, right? So
yeah.
Did you have that too, Eric? Did you have early on, did you draw and submit to anywhere to be like, I can do it, let me in now?
Early on, my parents forbid me to be an artist. Yeah. I remember winning competitions when I was in elementary school, posters and stuff. They got me out of art classes and put me into violin. I did that for a few years. Then I finished college, and only because of my last semester of college from
oh, he is leaving all the viewers in suspense right now. That's one of his tricks. He wants the viewers to continue chiming in, especially during what he calls the boring parts when I talk. So yes, that's what this is. It's all a ploy.
That's right, Eric. Just try to come back on. We'll get you going. We'll pick up right where you left off. By the way, Nick Bertie's on saying thumbs up, everybody. This is a reminder, a good reminder. And if you're watching, continue. You can think of questions, totally put them up because we love to hear about them.
I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on with my Safari, to be honest. Every time I'm on the Safari thing, it's just no good. So I'm cutting in and out. So I don't, I apologize if that keeps happening.
So continue. You were telling us that your parents forbid you from doing art, but instead said, "Here's a violin," which is kind of art music. So I don't understand.
Yeah, which turned out to be not too bad because it definitely helped with the creative part of your mind, I guess. Music. But on my last semester of college from Davis, I had a few extra credits, so I took an art class, which they didn't know about, and that's where it ended. That's where my biological science degree ended. It was my last quarter at Davis. From there, I just said, okay, I'm going to be an artist. You can help me or not. So they decided to help me, and I ended up going to design school for a couple of years. And here I am, drawing comics.
Where did you decide to go to design school?
Oh, I went to design school at Art Center, Pasadena.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty well-known industrial design school. Design art school. Most of their designers come out as concept artists for the entertainment industry. A lot of their designers actually design your cars for Toyota, Honda, big time industrial transportation design school.
So if you're going to do things like that, designing cars and things, does it require a bunch of like engineering to like pair up with it?
Yes, you do take a little bit of engineering classes, but it's mainly just to not the engineering part, but understanding the space that engineering takes when you design for product or you design for people to use. For example, there in cars there's HVAC system that has to go through, so you have to understand what they actually need rather than just do blue sky, an interior with nothing in it.
Right. That
Yeah.
makes
So
sense then.
yeah.
So you did not go that route, obviously. Did you
Yeah,
focus?
I did. I was a transportation / entertainment designer as far as a major. I did a 6-month internship at Michigan at Johnson Controls. They do interior design work for a lot of the car companies. From that experience, I knew I was going to go to entertainment. Being in Michigan during the winter time was not me. I mean, you got snow, you got no sunlight. You work in the morning, it's dark. You come home, it's dark. And for me, I got, I was just going stir crazy, being inside all the time and going outside and it's dark and it's snowing and no one existed really. It's like I was like, oh, this is not for me. So after that, I came back and I just focused on entertainment work. Then I ended right before I finished college. I worked for a video game, so I got recruited into a gaming company, and there you go.
Okay, so I because just about every single high schooler that I meet, they all want to do game design. So, and you've done game design. So,
yeah.
I'm not going to ask the obvious questions like how do you do it, which is just like tenacity. But like, what does it look like if you are part of a game design team? Are you doing like this much of a game, or are you in charge of like an arc of anything? What does it look like if you worked in that industry?
Well, in my experience, the gaming industry, they're definitely definitely parts to it. There's an art director that gives you general design of the project. Then there's concept artist comes up with the characters and the look of the game, the characters, the environment, all the props. Then there's 3D builders that build 3D models from all the concept art for the game. Then there's riggers who animate it, which is a lot of times also the 3D modelers. Then there's the sound people as well. So there's specific departments that create. There's texture artists that work strictly on texture, and then there's engineers that make sure all this works together without being broken while you play the game. But on my end, I was a concept artist, so I would come up with all the cool characters, how a level would look like, how a gaming would play, just all the visual stuff. That was my job.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so cool. Now I understand why a lot of high schoolers want to do it.
It's fun, but definitely you do have to have that foundation of academic art and also being able to think outside the box too. The better you are at coming up with new ideas and new visuals and new designs, design directions, then better off you be. But also you have to know that you're working for someone. You cannot start creating things while you're at work and saying that they're mine. Everything you do at the office belongs to that studio. And a lot of times you'll be asked to redo stuff a lot too. So if you do not like to redo stuff, it might not be for you. A lot of times I find that young artists, they'll be told to redo something and it breaks their heart and it crushes their soul. Then they can't continue.
Oh no.
Yeah, so you have to be able to take the criticism, because a lot of times you'll be presenting to managers or project managers or even business execs that have no idea the language of art, the language of design. They're just saying, is it sellable? Can we sell this? Is there a market for it? And and it's your job to understand that language to present and sell the idea.
Oh wow. It's just opening all the world to people like, just behind the door. It seems like a secret place. That is way cool.
Well,
another thing that is like behind the door kind of thing that I understand that you can speak to is comedy.
Oh my goodness. I'm funny when it comes to making fun of myself, but the real comedy genius is Scott. That's one of the biggest reasons why I teamed up with Scott. 6 years ago, I got an email from nowhere, out of nowhere, a guy named Scott Berman, soliciting artists to work with them for some odd reason, and it was actually at the time where I had a little bit of break. I just finished, I think, working on a book with The Weeknd, you know, the rapper, The Weeknd, and I read one of Scott's script that he sent me called "How I Got Drunk and Saved the World." Oh my god!
Good plugging there. Good plugging.
It was so wacky, funny, and totally not what comics is as far as what we read today, right? What comes out most of the time. Most comics are kind of mission centric, where they have a goal, they have a overarching arc to save the world, pretty much, and that's almost like 90% of books that you see out there. And man, and at the time, I was so done with kind of doing noir, dark, you know, mission-based sort of comic books, you know, Batman, Ex-Vigilante. I did 22 issues of Ex-Vigilante, which is awesome, but it was pretty much like a Punisher / Batman, you know, very serious, very dark. And so when I read Scott's work, I was like, I was in the mood to going back to something different and light-hearted and funny. And so from then on, we just started. We contacted, we connected, and we start throwing out ideas. And he's just funny as hell. And that's where White Savior came up. You know, how we came about trying to make fun of the idea of White Savior. You know, I think it was based off of the stuff that we were clowning on, as far as the Great Wall, that movie with Matt Damon, how Matt Damon saved China and the Great Wall, and it was so ridiculous.
Oh yeah, we definitely needed that, or Dances with Wolves, or all those.
Dances with Wolves, yeah. And so from there, that's how it spawned, and it took us, you know, about 6 years now to do it. It's just one of those things. COVID hit as well, and then you know, we got to get paid while we work too, so I couldn't do this full time. You know, I needed to make some paying gigs too, but I think it's well worth it. I think White Savior has more of an appeal, not just to comic book readers, but to a lot of a broader appeal. That I think once people understand that we're poking fun at the White Savior idea, that they'll enjoy the book and laugh with the book as well.
Oh yeah, that trope comes up so much in Hollywood. It is,
yeah,
it's just ripe for the picking. All right, but first, Scott, I mean, I can't let what Eric said go. I can't let it, the pitch for the just got drunk and saved the world pitch. Is that going to get made?
Worlds. Yeah. So, you know, I'm still, I actually have an artist working on it now. And, yeah, it's about a, you know, it's been just such a kind of roller coaster, because when I wanted to get into comics, I didn't know what the hell I'm doing. I still don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I make it fun now. And so what I did was I emailed a lot of artists, and because I'm relatively cheap, I'm Jewish. It's okay. I can say it. I'm Jewish. I'm cheap. I didn't want to necessarily pay anybody a lot of money, especially I didn't want to pay anybody because I felt like if I paid someone, then they wouldn't have really a passion for it. They'd want to do it just to get paid. And a lot of times, if you're doing it just to get paid, you don't really care about the artwork. And I think that's one of the reasons why me and Eric worked so well together, is because Eric was doing it out of passion and insanity, because he could have gotten paid a lot more, but passion is what you see through and through in all of Eric's work. And so a lot of times I'll have artists, they start working on it, they disappear, they work on a couple pages, they're gone. It's just the nature of the game, understandably, because you got to, you know, provide for yourself first. But I hooked up with this one artist. His name's Alex Portal. He'll never see this because he's not on any social media at all. What? And I'm trying to get him to change that. So,
how old is he?
That's a good question. I have no idea. He's probably about 30, I would say. He's not a social guy. Not easy to Google either.
Well, here's another important point for all your aspiring artists that listen to you and want to be comic book artists. You have to produce the work. You can't just do an image and say and call it good, and that's it. It is something that you have to do kind of every day. I draw every day. The wife hates it, but I enjoy it, and so I shoo her away, and I say I got to do it.
Yeah, and so he's working on it. How I Got Drunk and Saved the World. It's about a guy who was a superhero for about 3 weeks 20 years ago. He was really bad at it. All he did basically was get drunk and cause trouble. And he was on basically a similar team like the Avengers. But after 3 weeks, they kicked him off. And for the last 20 years, they've been paying him to not use his superpowers because he's such an embarrassment to the superhero community. And so that's kind of where this comes from. He finds out one of his many illegitimate children is destined to destroy the world. And so he may or may not have to sober up, find the kid, and prevent the apocalypse. Right there, ladies and gentlemen, give me your money. Buy the book, just hand it over. But no, I'm hoping that if White Savior takes off, I will get the opportunity to produce like books like this and many other things. Just like Eric was talking about how he's constantly drawing. I'm constantly writing. And my thing was, hey, if something ever does take off, I'm going to be ready with scripts in hand to give to people and say, hey, this is the best thing ever. 9 companies can hire me at the same time because I already have the material. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, it's so hard to break through. What am I going to do? That they decide not to do anything. And I think that's usually the biggest problem. One thing I would say about artists, about what Eric was saying, so many artists will draw sketches, but they won't draw comic pages. And they'll be like, well, I wanna get paid to draw my comic pages. And I always am like, but you're drawing sketches, why not just draw comic pages? Like that way people who are hiring can see that you have experience drawing comic pages.
Yeah, they're different because sequential art is much different than splash page.
Exactly. Yeah. But a lot of people who do the splash pages think that will lead to a career doing sequential art. And I'm like, well, you got to do the sequential art first, probably.
I think
probably.
All right. So for the book that's coming out, White Savior, I know that it's satire. I know it's making fun of that trope. How is the story? What is the story about, other than that overarching idea? Like, who are we following a character?
Eric, you, me, what do you?
Go ahead. You go. I'm actually trying to figure out because I'm holding my phone and because my iPad doesn't seem to want to work with this thing. So you go ahead first.
So Eric always likes it when I talk about the plot of the book for 2 reasons. One, I rehearse about 9,000 times saying the plot of the book. And 2, in the plot of the book, you have kind of no choice but to make fun of the fact that the white savior in our book is a complete idiot. And it sounds much better coming from a white guy, maybe, than someone who's Vietnamese. So I'll give you the good old-fashioned Stanley-inspired pitch here. Mm-hmm. Our book, White Savior, is a spoof of white savior movies. So in our case, the Tom Cruise character, if you will, is a drunken idiot. And the hero is a Japanese-American teacher named Todd Parker. Mm-hmm. And we follow his story where he travels back in time to feudal Japan, and he has to convince a small village not to follow the white savior. And so that's the plot of our book right there. It's the adventure of Todd and a couple of friends as they try to navigate this world in the past and convince the villagers that the white guy leading them doesn't know what he's talking about and is actually the opposite of somebody who should be saving the village.
So I'm guessing this is a really funny book. You've intended it to crack some joke.
A lot of people have been saying it's really funny and it's a hysterical book. I think what they're getting wrong is it's the funniest book they will ever read in comic books. It's the best, funniest, and the only way that anybody can prove me wrong is if you go to your local comic store and buy it and read it. So right there, boom.
Challenge.
That is the thing. Yeah.
And Eric, what kind of art style did you pick for something that you it's kind of like this fine line, right? You want people to take it seriously and think to themselves, oh yeah, this is something we need to think about, but also really funny.
Yeah, I mean, again, I was coming from doing a lot of dark work, a lot of work that uses a lot of blacks. I actually wanted to go back to my olden days where when I first broke in, I don't know if you remember that book, Strange Girl, with Rick Remender. Rick Remender and we broke in about the same time when we started by doing create our own work. And there's this book called Strange Girl from Image around 2005 or something like that. And that was my first book as far as in comics, period. And I didn't know what I was doing back then. And so I was just drawing how I wanted to draw. And so the art style definitely was so different. So as far as what's considered mainstream, it definitely wasn't mainstream. It was just out there, kind of crazy line work. And so I wanted to bring that back. I wanted to sort of capture that sort of open line art, kind of exaggerated storytelling back into my work, because I was getting a little, I wouldn't say tired, but I was becoming, I guess, it was harder to come up with different ways of telling a story by telling the same story.
Mm-hmm.
And so I with this book, I actually started doing a lot more creative as far as breaking panels, breaking borders, using different color palettes. And so using the character walking through panels just as a storytelling tool. I mean, and because Scott didn't know what I was doing, he didn't care. So I was doing whatever I wanted to do. And so it works, and it feels a little bit, as far as back to doing something a little bit fresh in my frame of mind.
Yeah, I think that in all of Eric's art, there was only one panel I asked him to change. It was the first appearance of the White Savior. And Eric drew him, and I said, this guy looks too cool. I don't want anybody to root for the guy at all. And so, yeah, that was the only, I think, in the 4-issue book. Because think about how many notes, Eric, you've gotten as an artist, or the typical artist gets on their art.
It was fun to not have any notes from Scott.
Wait a minute.
And honestly, I would blow him off too. No, but he was correct. Cover wise, we actually redid the cover because it needed to look goofy, and he was spot on 100% correct, because I was drawing the Savior as some sort of awesome warrior dude, and Scott knew that he wanted a goofy dude with an arrow through his head. And so but it turned out that was 100% correct move. I ended up doing variant covers for each issue because I wanted a cool cover and at the same time have a goofy cover.
Mm-hmm. I love it. All right, we ran out of time, but this doesn't mean anything to us because people now are left on the cliffhanger, which means they have to go to their local comic shop and put this on their poll so they don't miss it on Wednesday. If they wanted to follow you guys on social media, what is the right social media, Scott, for them to follow you when they want to know more news about all the other books you're doing?
Well, I think definitely go to White Savior Comic at Instagram. And my Instagram, I believe, is I'm Scott Berman, because that's how creative I am. But I would say White Savior Comics much more important than me.
Perfect. How about you, Eric?
Yep, White Savior for Instagram, White Savior Comic. Both of us post there. For my artwork itself, is Eric Nguyen Art. That's for both Twitter and Instagram. I post all sorts of artwork on my Instagram, trying to get better at it, and we'll see where it goes. Posting artwork sometimes, now everyone's trying to do video posts, and oh my goodness, I was already having a hard time posting static posts of artwork.
Just add all the complexities, right?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day. I hope you can do like 1 million more interviews and get the hype going really big. I've heard all positive buzz for the book, so I expect there to be good numbers for you guys.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for having us. And I'm sorry for cutting in and out. Yeah.
Thank you very much again. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys. Everyone stay tuned. Coming up next, we get to talk to Travis Gibb.
You know how when you go to Comic-Con, after Comic-Con, you go to the hotel bar, and there's a whole bunch of people playing music and dancing, and you've got Pikachu and Lara Croft Tomb Raider doing the cha-cha slide just down from Deadpool and Batman and Wonder Woman? That's every Saturday night over on the Experience Twitch channel. Join Taji Beats for the EXP Dance Party, exclusively on Twitch, twitch.tv/the_EXP.
Everybody, and welcome back to Talkin Shop. That was an awesome interview. I am definitely going to maneuver my way into getting to read White Savior for review because it sounds like my jam. But now we get to talk to my good friend Travis Gibb.
Hey!
What in the world? You got a Band of Bards shirt?
I do, yes.
That's awesome.
They need to send you one. I hear you're doing a signing coming right up.
I am.
Why don't you get a shirt? I will. The minute I get off of this, we'll call Tim up. We'll see what we can do. I'll talk to the higher ups.
I got dollars. You know I back my loves with money.
Right. Well, you can order it at the Bard Shop if you want, but I think they'd send you one, Jen. They love you.
Well, you know that I'll wear it. Like right now I'm wearing an awesome shirt by Michael Bracco at Spaghetti Kiss, who also does comic books. So
okay.
I will represent all your stuff.
Nice. Well, I need to send you, I've got some Granite Say Punk shirts. I need to send you some.
Ooh. You got lots of stuff coming out here. You did not rest on your laurels with all the other beautiful books you've had come out. You're working it hard. So
yeah, I have been working so hard. like it's ridiculous. Like, when we've known each other for since COVID, about the beginning of COVID, and it was Kickstarter. I've been doing a Kickstarter creator for a long time. I've raised tons of money on Kickstarter. I don't know, almost 200,000. Like it's a lot of money. But this year, 2023, is the year of the direct market. So Travis is getting into the direct market, doing a whole bunch of stuff. I've got books January, February, and March, and then I've got another round of 3. So I'll be in there at least 6 months, possibly even more. We're talking some stuff out, but yeah, it's crazy and it's exciting. It's really exciting to do all this stuff.
Tell everybody kind of the difference between, since you've been self-producing books on your own Orange Cone Productions, which have been very successful. What are the differences that you see in how this works in the comic book industry?
Yeah, it's direct market is really hard, Jen. It's really hard for less profit, like for me as a creator. And I'm not saying that because I don't want to be in the direct market, just reality, because you go to Diamond gets a cut, the stores need to make a cut, everybody gets a cut, the publisher needs a cut, and then eventually they'll be like, this is what we have left over. You can have it if you want. I don't know. Like, that's kind of what it feels like. But the other part of it is, you you get in Diamond, you gotta get it to them, like 2 months ahead of time. Then they put it in the magazine. You can't really promote it until it's in the magazine. And then you literally got a 30-day race to contact as many stores as you can to go, hey, did you see my thing in this magazine? So they can order it and hope you did the best. I sent about 2,000 emails out to stores. I called a whole bunch. The majority of replies I got were from people like you, people who I already knew were like, of course we're going to support you, Travis. Like new stores are like, yo, who the new phone, who this? And I don't think it's rude. I just think they get inundated because that's what me and everybody else is doing. So trying to get that, and then it's done before you know it. Like I was still promoting, and they're like, "Hey, final cutoff's done." Like, I mean, some people can still order it, but it's hit or miss. I was like, "Oh, what? It's done." Where the Kickstarter rocket is, when I feel I'm ready, I go, right? Like that's it. It's this whole rush and then it's over really, really quick, and then I did so many store exclusive, we got one with you and a whole bunch of people. That took a lot of time because I was managing that while still trying to promote the stuff. So that cut in from my promotion. It's wild. I love it. And I love being uneducated about something too. Like that's fun for me. Like I want to, all right, this is a new thing. I got to kick its ass. So let's do that. And the numbers were good. It's the best Band-of-Bar book they've ever had, numbers wise. So it's the highest it's been. They're very, very good. I'm friends with a lot of creators. I know I'm at a good level, especially Band-of-Bards being a new publisher. Their numbers are going to be lower because of that. I'm very high. I've got some good numbers on that. So it's good. I'm very happy with where we're at.
I think this is just my kind of like feeling about Band-of-Bards as a retailer.
Mm-hmm.
There's just something different about how you guys are approaching it that feels really refreshing to me. It's kind of like, instead of like, we're an official comic book company, take it seriously. You guys are more like, we're stoked about this thing. And we're like, we're cool together and let's do it. And so it's just like, these guys are passionate. You guys are really going out there and putting all the information so that we can use it and reaching out just to the public in general. Like I super appreciate the posts that are all the time, like talk to your LCS.
Right.
Because I think a lot of publishers make this mistake where they're like, order it directly from us. I'm like, how am I going to share that? Why am I going to share that? Like, that was one of the big things that when we talked about them, because I'm used to that model. So when I had to talk with Tim, we were talking about that. I was like, well, are stores going to be allowed to order? He's like, no, I really want to use Diamond as my resource, and they're sticking only to Diamond too. They didn't try to get to Luna. They didn't try to do anything. They're just like, we want to master Diamond and get it in stores and get people selling our books. They even took a month off. They took March off to be like, all right, let's get some feedback from stores during the month to see what's going on. So in March solicits, there's no Band-of-Bards book. And that's just we want to make sure the books that they have are selling. How can we sell them better? What do they want more of? What kind of stuff? And I think that's really cool, especially being a new publisher. Because new publisher, I was like, let's give you as much stuff as possible. We had a couple of really good ones last couple of years that have already fizzled out because of that. They just gave us so much stuff and then they couldn't keep up. I love that this new mentality of we're here for the long game, and it's very cool. Yeah, and that breaks my heart too when the books are really good, but then there's just so much coming out from a publisher that you're asking a retailer to give them more than 2 or 3 slots.
Right.
It just gets crowded. It crowds them. They crowd their own self out, honestly, because it's difficult to focus on any one thing. I know that they're like, oh, this stuff is really good and everyone will like it. And sure enough, they will. But people only have so much money in a week to spend. So you're saying, like, I'm going to put out 3 titles in a month. You're asking someone to spend 3 of their monthly books on you. So you got to make the really great stuff.
Yeah, I think it's really tough. I think the indie market is huge right now. Every publisher has like 10 titles and stuff, and it's a lot to pull on. And it's a lot of risk. You're asking stores to take a lot of risk versus just ordering some more Deadpool or some more Batman, right? Like that's going to sell. And if it doesn't sell now, it'll sell because it's Batman and Deadpool, right? Versus indie book that could do something. I think it's really rough. it's such a crazy thing, when I found out about Aftershock, like looking at that and looking at the market, because Aftershock was like a level up for a lot of people. That was kind of mid-level, like that was my career path. All right, cool. I got these. Now let's go down. I don't know what to do now, So it's interesting, but I think it's cool. And I think it'll all work out because there's so much good stuff. People are producing great stuff. So those things will always rise to the top.
So tell everybody a little bit about the books that you have already put out that under Orange Cone, so that I know that once they read this book from you under A Band of Bards, that they're gonna want to go back and find your other items. So tell them a little bit about those.
Sure, yeah. So I have several books. Orange Cone Productions is my production company. So we have tons of books. We have Voodoo Nations. Voodoo Nations is about a missionary crew that go to Brazil. They try to help out, but they meet a voodoo priest and kind of mess up their world, messes up their marriage, kind of does all sorts of cool stuff. That book is finishing up this year. The last issue is coming out this year. We got Orange Cone. We got Broke Down in 4 Dead Bodies. That is completely done. All 4 issues are out. As Jen surprisingly said, it's a love story, but it does not look like one because there's lots of F words, lots of stuff. But that was actually my favorite review of Broke Down. You're like, oh, it's a love story. I'm like, oh, yeah, it is a love story.
Hi, Don.
We've got, what else we got going on? We've got Expired. Expired is about a world where everybody's given a watch. That watch dictates how much breaths they're allowed to take. And if you run out of breaths, you die. So that's a world of a freedom fighter, kind of like a sci-fi book. We've got the 2nd issue coming out this year. We got Granite State Punk. So though it's in Scout, we also have the Orange Cone production. So we're continuing that series. Bunch of series of one-shots. We're not doing a ongoing like 1 through 4. It's just one shot after one shot after one shot. And then our big ones that people know us for is Holiday Spirits, which is our Christmas one. Christmas is about a bunch of horror things that happen on the holidays. In fact, I'm picking up on Friday Holiday Spirits 2. Just, again, the diamond thing distracted me so much, like I could not get it out in December like I normally would. And I told people in advance, I was like, there's no way. I just don't know how. Like, it's impossible. But the big one is Cthulhu Invades. So we've got Cthulhu Invades Oz, Cthulhu Invades Wonderland. People love this book. We've got Cthulhu Invades Neverland, which I haven't told a lot of people, Jen, but in Cthulhu Invades Neverland, I've got Charlie Stickney, which is fantastic. Yep. We got David Byrne. And then the big one, we've got Rich Woodell on art. So if you love Electric Black, but the big guy is Cullen Bunn. We decided we'd add one of his 8 books that come out a month. We'll take one of the slots.
You're not even exaggerating. You're not exaggerating the truth.
But we got Cullen Bunn doing some stories in Cthulhu Invades Neverland. So it's going to be wild.
So, by the way, if anyone is they're watching from the YouTube channel and they see Don Nguyen popped on there, you should follow Don. He does an awesome book called Pablo the Gorilla. If you like pizza and monkeys with one robotic arm, which I do.
Who doesn't? He's actually my artist for Holiday Spirits. I do the overarching story. He does my art for that. Yep.
Man, sometimes I don't put 2 and 2 together. You vote for, so our producer votes for Cthulhu Invades Ohio. It feels like a fictional place these days, too.
I think I'm going to Neverland. We're talking about it. I may take a break in between for a little bit. There's a lot to put together. We may take a break, but when we come back, it'll be Cthulhu Invades 100 Acre Woods. We gotta go visit Winnie the Pooh, but I'm not doing it till Tigger comes. Tigger's not public domain yet, so we gotta wait because Tigger's amazing.
Oh, absolutely. He was my favorite growing up. All right, so let's talk about the book that's coming out. Oh, wait. Nope. I think I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to go straight to it. Coins of Judas.
Yeah. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
I've got, we've only got one. We've got some copies. Your store exclusive. Everything should be in Friday, by the way, for you, Jen, your store exclusive and stuff. But got it here. Look how pretty it is. So what Coins of Judas is, would be what I would say my first superhero book. So this is like a Ghost Rider, Ghost Rider type book. So it's about these two. They're a bunch of demon hunters. So when Judas threw down those coins in front of the Pharisees, when he was getting paid to betray Christ, that spawned 30 demons. And those 30 demons are based off of our worst sins. So from slavery to bad things to child, any evil thing you can think of. I'm not going to go into the detail of your sins, but any bad thing you can think of, the worst 30 became demons. And those demons have been wandering the world for millennia. And this is one family that happens to be hunting them down for the last couple of years. So it's very cool, very action-packed, kind of anime style. Like we've got some big colors, different color palettes in there. It's a very cool action-packed storyline. I think if you like, Ghost Rider and stuff like that, you really like it. It's because that's the kind of vein I'm going for.
Okay, so you say it's your superhero book. Does this mean then that our two demon hunters have some kind of supernatural abilities?
Kind of. They don't have supernatural abilities, but they do have little magic tricks. So they have runes. We don't really talk about the magic in it, but they can use runes to do different effects. So they've got some different runes that do different things. And we don't really explore it too much, but yeah, they've got little magic abilities that they can do.
That's awesome. Who is your artist on that book?
Tyler Carpenter. So Tyler Carpenter is a great artist. He does a indie book called Girl with the Megafist, which is also, if you guys are Texas publishing company and Antarctic Press, it's part of their manga book. So that's going monthly, starting this month. Girl with the Megafist is going to be there, and you can also pick up Coins of Judas, and it's a 2-issue series, so it's not a lot of investment. I'm not going to log you on for a thing. It's 2 issues and done. And then we're going to do another 2-issue arc later in the year. But yeah, it's 2 issues, comes out January, February. It's all done, ready for it. And what's cool about this, Jen, is me from Kickstarter. We talked about all my Kickstarter books, is this has never been on Kickstarter. This is a brand new original stuff. Unlike Granite State Punk, which has been on Kickstarter and that's kind of the direct market to secondary. This is a brand new series, never been on Kickstarter.
Oh, that's so cool. All right, now I'm going to let you have the platform, because I know you talked about it on your social media. I want you to build a brag on both editors and your wife. Go.
Oh, yeah. My wife is awesome. Anybody who follows me on social media knows that spelling is hard sometimes. I do it fast and I just do stuff. I will probably have to be like, someone will have to like pound down a door to get me in Marvel DC going like, don't read his Facebook. He can write, I swear. But my wife, she works really hard, and she's one of the best editors. And not just because she's my wife, but she works hours every edit. Like if she does a feedback for like page 2, panel 4, when she gets that edit back, she doesn't just read page 4, panel 2. She reads the whole book again to see if there's anything else she missed or anything she wants to add. And she'll do that until it's done. And I think it's amazing. She's always there to ask me, hey, I don't understand this. Can you explain it? My wife reads comics, but she doesn't read a ton of comics, which I think is a beautiful thing too, because I want someone who can just pick it off the shelf, who doesn't need all our comics like knowledge. Like, hey, this doesn't make sense. I want someone to pick up any of my books and they make sense. They make very, very clear sense to them. Especially when we add our comics thing, we add a whole bunch of things that are, here's our ideas in the future. Do you like these? Like my wife is very quick to call me out on that. Do we need that? Like I was like, but we all do it. But do we need it? And it's not just me either. She did Cthulhu Invades Wonderland all by herself. It's a 235-page book. We had some proofreaders, but she went through and talking. It's a very hard job. And yeah, my wife is awesome. I couldn't do this job without my wife. She's so great. She's a accomplished writer herself. She published her first book this year, Pup Van Winkle, which is it's about a dog who falls asleep. And when it wakes up, they found out dogs have been hunted. And they doesn't know why, but he's somehow connected to why they're being hunted and killed. So it's a crazy story, kind of like Stray Dogs, but a little less graphic. But yeah, it's really cool. And then the first Kickstarter for Orange Cone this year is a sing-along comic. It's a kid's comic about cottage cheese that comes with a song that my wife produced and sang. My wife is wild. So yeah, thank you for giving me the opportunity to love on my wife, because she's amazing.
I also have a spouse that is super supportive. So I'm like, ooh, I love this. So, okay, so talk a little bit about the Granite State Punk. I actually obviously have copies of it, but like the teas for people that should add it to their pull box.
I actually don't think you have copies of it because, unlike my normal Kickstarters, my whole goal for Granite State Punk was to sell. So one of the reasons, so what I did was I didn't offer it as a tier. Like, so I didn't message you a whole bunch of times. I didn't offer it as a tier. I don't think you've ever had it in your store, Jen.
All right, you keep talking, and I'm pretty sure.
She's gonna dig.
Because I can envision the cover.
I may have sent you one because I send you gifts when I send you packages. That's one of the good things. If I like you as a store, I'll send you extra stuff. Like holidays, I just sent her Holiday Spirits because it's Christmas and it's a holiday book. You got to send them. But Granite State Punk, it is a great book. We have 2 issues out, but the next one's coming out Scout in March. It's this book right here. Patrick Brumeyer is amazing. Amazing artist. This book is from my hometown of Rochester, New Hampshire. It's very, very cool. He's got a very Sean Murphy-esque style. And what it's about is in New Hampshire, there is this mountain. It's called the Old Man in the Mountain. It's on all the coins. It's on the license plate, on everything. Well, years ago, that face fell off. And it was the big icon, and it traumatized me. So I wrote a book about a fictional reason why it was there and what happens when it falls off. So that's what this book is. This book, Jen, my grandmother died, and she left me a bunch of money. And when you're writing indie comics, you buy what you can afford. Like, so you hopefully level up your artists. So I've got great artists, but they're the best that I can afford. So when this money came in, I was like, I want to do one book, just one book, the way I want to do it, with the artist I want to do it. And Patrick, I had been looking at him for a long time. He does a lot of dark, 18th century stuff. And I was like, if we get him in the modern setting with some punk rock, it's going to be dope. And it was. So I bought this, and it wasn't even intended to be in New Hampshire, to be honest. Like, I just started writing, and I was like, all right, this is my one shot with everything. So let me write a love letter to the state that I'm from. So Granite State Punk. And I wrote it, and it's the best thing I've ever written. It's so personal. Like it really, like, because of my grandmother, because of living there. I think I haven't been shy. My parents were both drug addicts. So I came from a very broken home. And this kind of has the same brokenness, just they're witches instead of drug addicts, but the guy has a drinking problem. So he's going through it and trying to deal with his stuff and hating everything about the state, but the state is everything to him. As both my parents died drug related in some level. I was like, I'm done with this state, but every time I go there, I'm just like, not so much of who I am is built from this state, from this little town, and wanting to get out and wanting to be better. Like it's who I am. It's part of my whole character. And I really got to write this in this book. And it's something different, Jen. It's nothing like voodoo. It's nothing like, it's a wild book. It's more like, have you ever seen the movie SLC Punk?
No.
It's an independent book, so not stuff. Mr. Robot. Have you ever watched TV show Mr. Robot?
I know what it is. I haven't had a chance.
Okay, that doesn't help either. It talks in third person, so it interacts with you as the reader.
Okay.
So kind of like Deadpool, but a little bit more personal. So it reads it. I even point out in the middle of the book, I'm like, you're bored here because I gave you too much exposition. Here, let me get to it. Like I really I wanted to show like I know how to write a comic, and this is like kind of my level up. When you read Broke Down, let's go back to Broke Down. Broke Down was kind of my first direct market. I made it like Pulp Fiction on purpose. Like I wanted you to feel familiar with it. But looking back on that, I was like, that was kind of a mistake because it makes it look like I don't know how to write. I know how to copy. If people who've read all four go, oh, you clearly weren't writing Pulp Fiction. You just started out that way and you went a different direction, kind of familiarize it. Mm-hmm. But as a new reader who's never read me submitting it to publishers, they're just like, oh, we've seen this before. And I was like, oh, that was a rookie mistake. But, that's a young Travis mistake. I wanted to familiarize. You like this, right? You'll like this. But I've grown from that. And this book is like that growth.
That's awesome. Okay. So, oh, hey, Marvin.
Marvin.
On. Another awesome creator.
Yeah, The Edge.
We're getting them scheduled for an interview because we gotta see what's coming out next on The Edge. All right. So what you guys need to start thinking about is you need to start paying attention in general to the Band of Bards books.
Yes.
What Travis was talking about for us having a signing is that one of our local creators, Mr. Humenic, is, I say Mr. Humenic because he's an English teacher, so and he's gonna be doing a book. I'm just gonna call it Brody. I think it's got more words to it, but just Brody is the other book. He'll be on the show next week. Awesome.
Oh, okay.
So you need to think about adding that, Coins of Judas, obviously, and Granite State Punk. So be paying attention to all the stuff that these guys are doing. I've never been more happy that we had this group that we started just as pandemic started, with the idea to connect stores that could still operate with creators who were still creating. And it saved our biscuits, because otherwise we would have had nothing to put on the racks, and that would have been truly sad. And it would have cut off a lot of creators from places to put their books. So I'm happy that part has worked out really well for everybody. So Travis, tell everybody where they should follow you to know what's coming up next for you.
Yeah, so follow me. I jumped ship with a whole bunch of creators. I was like, I want to be the big guy, so I'm going to pretend to play in the big sandbox. So it's travisgibb.substack.com. So join my Substack, and that'll tell you all my stuff that we're doing. I show all sorts of cool stuff from previews. There's paid versions. There's not paid versions, but I post all the time new stuff. In fact, going up tonight or tomorrow, I'm going to actually go the origin stories. I like to tell the origin stories of a book. We just did Granite State Punk. We're going to do Coins of Judas. We're going to talk about Coins of Judas, where it comes from, where the idea inspired from, how I turned it from it was a Mad Cave submission for their Mad Cave stuff to this series that's now mine that I would never give to Mad Cave. So it's really cool. So yeah. Although Mad Cave is super dope. No, it's not that I won't work for Mad Cave. Please, Mad Cave, you guys know I love you. But it's just showing the growth of like a lot of people like, oh, I wrote the submission for this, and they trash it. And I was like, well, if the idea was good, I believe in giving them their all. Like, I hate it when I listen to Marvel and DC pros like, don't create new characters because they're going to take them. No, the best things I've read in the last few years is when you created new characters. I know that they take them. I get it. It's part of the game. Like, do it. Like, but if they also don't accept it, move it to something else. If you believe in that idea, always give your best, 100% every time. Stop giving us less, please. This has been a public service announcement. All right. Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate you. I'm going to definitely be making sure I order Granite State Punk, because you're totally right. I think I just have been seeing it on your page. So I was like, of course I have it. Yeah, no, it comes out March 15th. It's actually, if anybody's watching this, if you want a preview, it's on Luna. They have the first 5-page preview. Oh, perfect. So you don't have, but yeah, if you want to get in, we can get you some of these if you want to read it, Jen. I'll send you some just for funds. I'll send you the first, and we got the second issue too. Oh, and you're an old school creator, so you'll appreciate this. I did a homage that no one would ever do. Do you remember these? Oh my gosh, that's the Justice League failure. Yeah, the U.S. Avengers. I love that so much. Isn't it so good? It really is. And it's weird, like Spider-Man was New Hampshire. I am from New Hampshire. Spider-Man's never been to that state. I would know. No version of Spider-Man. Right, ever. Like the whole Edge of Spider-Verse, none of them have ever gone to New Hampshire. All right. I'm going to get in trouble with my producers if I don't clear the board. So thank you so much, Travis. We'll talk again a lot more as more titles release. Thanks, everyone, for joining us for Talkin Shop. We love you, and see you next week. Bye!
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.
Bye.